abundant care, we want to make sure that our Spanish-speaking community gets full linguistic access, full cultural access, and has an equitable experience. And we're very fortunate to have an expert, Victor Hurtado, who will be championing that evening. So that one's coming in March. So that's to come. Entonces digo que los que hablan español vamos a tener la misma presentación en puro español en marzo. Entonces tendrá la oportunidad de tener toda la información en español. So some of our dignitaries on tonight, Mr. Michael Coughlin from Napa Valley Unified School District, raise your hand. Mr. Coughlin is a special ed coordinator in Napa Valley Unified School District. We also have the spectacular Stephanie Solberg from Napa Valley Unified School District. There she is. And she's our coordinator of secondary education and specialized vocational services. We have Ann Cifarelli, teacher from there she is, from St. Helena Unified School District, one of our Up Valley experts joining us. From North Bay Regional Center, I see we have Mr. Ivan Arce. Thank you for joining us. He's also part of our secondary transition committee. I hope I haven't missed anybody, but anyway, there's a few of the folks that have worked to make this evening possible and to get the word out. I think with no further ado, it's my grand pleasure to introduce to you our independent living advocates from Disability Legal Services, who again work tightly with our school districts and on our committee to make great things happen. So this evening's presentation will be brought to you by Charlotte Tyran and Victor Hurtado. And with no further ado, we're going to let them get started. Put your questions in chat. We're recording, so we'll get that out as well. And sit back, relax, take notes, and enjoy.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm just starting the presentation that we're going to be learning from, and this was created in conjunction with all of those people that were mentioned previously. So we're really excited to do this for the parents in the audience tonight. So I'm going to let Victor start, and we'll pass the baton throughout.
Thank you, Charlotte. Hello, everyone. My name is Victor Hurtado. I'm the local independent living advocate for our independent living center here in Napa County. So our local resource center where people with disabilities can come and find different resources and help with different issues just that are part of independent living. That's what we're all about. And we thought we'd just start this presentation off by giving a real life example of, a success story, if you will. I just want to give you guys a little bit glimpse of my story, how I went, through this whole system and was part of able to succeed through help with IEP counselors and DOR. So, although this process of obtaining SSI benefits and more independent living as our youngsters grow, it can be navigatable and you can succeed, even though it can be intimidating in the beginning. So I'm just here to let parents know and everybody know that there are resources that can help you out here, and we're all here to support you. So to help you succeed when it comes to this age 4 transition. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victor. And I just wanted to also mention that one of the things that we are hoping to define for you tonight is exactly what is a transitional aged youth. You might have heard this term thrown around a ton, or maybe this is one of the first times you're hearing it. You might also not know that a lot of different agencies give it a different age parameter depending on, if they're only living with disabilities, so it's 16 to 24, or if they're enrolled in school, so it's 16 to 21, or if they're looking for work, so that'd be ages 14 to 24. And specifically tonight, as you can know from the title, we'll be talking about that transition when your student hits the age of 18 and how that might affect their SSI benefits. And I wish we could go into every single detail about what can happen leading up to it and after, but unfortunately we just have about an hour tonight. We do hope to work with this group though to develop more content that is helpful for parents, and there's already a lot of content available from the agencies in attendance tonight, and they can help you along the way too. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing, but there's more to come, and there's already a lot available. That's what I'm trying to say in support of your youth. And I'm just going to the next slide here. We're not trying to scare any of the parents that are in attendance here, but essentially the Social Security's definition of disability changes once your child turns 18. So we're going to go into this in more detail in this presentation, but for some people, students turning 18, they might actually stop getting their SSI benefits. So we're hoping that with educating parents here tonight, you'll start to be able to plan to, if the child needs SSI benefits going into adulthood, what you need to be thinking about, who you need to be reaching out to. And if your child has never received SSI benefits before the age 18, maybe some of the ways that they can start getting on Social Security's radar with that big birth date. So Mr. Victor.
Thank you, Charlotte. And, just as parents and youth in general, you might be hearing a lot of terms being thrown around, SSI, SSDI. What do all these terms mean? It's important not to get them confused. So SSI is usually supplemental security income, which just as the name implies, it's meant as a supplement income to help with somebody's housing situation and few resources as well. So they must have limited income to receive this and few resources, and we'll go into that as the presentation moves along.
Thanks, Victor. So another thing that Victor and I felt was really important to establish tonight, so we've established what transitional age youth are, or what the age limits are, what SSI is. Now there's a few more definitions to come, and feel free to ask any questions. Like was previously mentioned, we can definitely come back to these things later in the presentation or more one-on-one. So when a person is under 18, their impairments or disabilities are such that they have to impair or limit their lives on a daily life basis. But when you turn 18 and above, the disability has to impair that person's ability or limit that person's ability to work. So before 18, it's daily life, and after 18, it's ability to work. And you might ask, well, yeah, my kid has something that, their disability limits their daily life. Why would that change? Why wouldn't that also not limit their ability to work? But some people, Victor and I are examples of this because we both live with disabilities. And so our disabilities impaired us in our daily life before 18, but we are still able to work. And so that might be kind of an interesting thing. Maybe you've never had a presentation presented to you by people with disabilities talking about working and living with disabilities, but that's something that we're here to offer too. So hopefully that might start kind of help you see a little bit of the distinctions at the age of 18. So Victor?
And then, part of that is finding out, number one, if your child is qualified even for SSI, supplemental security income. There's a set of rules that Social Security uses along with other information to make that determination. The first part of that is they must have a medically verifiable physical or mental impairment or set of impairments and their condition or impairments has to last or is expected to last at least 12 months. So this is something really important that we encourage just to clients in general to be prepared to have that medical evidence to back everything up. Just medically paperwork that medically verifies someone's disability, so that way when it comes down to apply for SSI, you're ready in that sense and you're more prepared.
Thanks, Victor. Oh yeah, this is a fun slide. So I'm going to move all your faces so I can see what I wrote. And I do apologize. I do have dogs at my house. So if you hear them barking soon, it's just part of the joy of this year. So what happens when my child turns 18 in the SSI program? So there's two things, and we've already hinted at a few of these. One is considered the non-medical criteria. Offhand, to me, I think of it as the financial criteria, because that's how I see it. When someone, before they turn 18, your student's income and resources are not considered. It's the parents' income and resources. And that's how the student is able to qualify for SSI. But when they turn 18, that all changes. And essentially, for most cases, it's going to be, the SSI is based on the student's income and resources. And then if that student, and I keep saying student because it's easier than saying adult child, but, and then if that adult child student, if they get married, their spouse's income and resources affect their SSI eligibility. So these are sort of big, financial things to keep in mind. And we can definitely go on rabbit holes with you guys, about other things related to retirement and SSDI, and your child also being a beneficiary of one of those other programs. But tonight we're just focusing on this. So income and resources, 18, it changes. Now the medical rules, we've already alluded to this as well, but we just wanted to make sure it was really clear that there's different disability rules. So again, back to if you're a minor, the disability is determined by Social Security how it affects the student's daily life. Adult, it determines how it affects how it limits their ability to work. All right, Mr. Victor.
Thank you, Charlotte. And a lot of you might have teenagers that are ready to make that transition into 18. So you might, important step for you to take is know what to do when it comes that time. We as an agency, we recommend that the parent or the caretaker, whatever the case may be, they know the child's strengths, interests, and dreams. So that means like talk with your child, be involved in what they want to do as far as an education or vocational goal goes. Be an avid participant in all of your child's IEP meetings, be involved, ask questions, find out if there's anything that you can do to help your child succeed when it comes to this transitional step. And then at the age of 16, the IEP team, along with the child themselves and the parent, they will begin looking at long-term goals. So it's important to be in touch, with your child and find out what do they actually want to do, what's their lifelong dream, what's something that they're passionate about. For intellectual and developmental disabilities, we recommend people to North Bay Regional Center, get updated assessments. Mental disabilities, obtain updated psychiatric documentation, whatever the case may be. Each disability is different, so that will, vary with each disability. And for physical disabilities as well, work with IEP in schools to find out what types of disability accommodations is needed for your child's next phase. They might be looking to go straight into the workforce as a vocational goal, or they might be wanting to go to college. So you want to be informed about what resources will be available for them in college.
Thank you, Victor. And I just remembered as you're reading that last bullet point that at one of our last planning meetings, we were talking about how a lot of schools and junior colleges, they have their own special programs to help students get accommodations in their programs. And I've actually been researching them a lot for some of the consumers I work with. So there's a lot of assistance out there. We can clarify that point more later. So here we are, we're still on kind of this topic about what evidence, medical evidence that the parents need to obtain before the child turns 18. This is an extension of what Victor was just talking about. So, it's really important that the evidence that is on file with Social Security is updated. First of all, it's obtained over, if you can, a year ahead of the 18th birthday, to give a higher chance at achieving eligibility for their adult benefits. And then sounds like they're about to start howling, so I apologize. And then you also have to make sure that if the, sorry, if the supplies, I got all messed up. So I'm going to just go back to the first bullet point. So make sure the parents have recent medical evidence on file with Social Security before your child turns 18. This applies if they're already on SSI or applying for the first time. So that's really important. There are two tracks there distinctly if they haven't been on SSI before, or they're currently on it and want to continue it. And the bottom line, though, underlining what Victor was talking about, is obtaining multiple types of evidence if necessary, if your child has multiple disabilities, and just really working with that IEP plan to find out what is necessary for that big birthday coming up. And Victor, did you want to speak to this slide?
Yeah, so just as my coworker Charlotte was mentioning, that medical evidence piece is going to be really important. That's basically what's going to help prove your child's case, if you will, as to whether they are entitled to receive SSI benefits under the program rules. And we just have some contact information here for North Bay Regional Center. A lot of you are probably familiar with that, or are even a part of that, clients of that agency. So they're really good. We have their contact listed here below, and parents can as well. They are good at supporting parents with the IEP aspect of things, and also just helping parents with having their child, in school and working through the IEP process. They can help them figure out how they as a parent can help support their child while they're in school and making that transition again into adulthood.
Thank you, Victor. So this is, it can be an overwhelming chart to look at if you've not looked at it in a long time. And every single one of the things on here has different ramifications. You don't have to worry about aged for your child because they're not in that age bracket, but they'd most likely either be in the disabled bracket. Oh, I'm sorry, could you please mute yourself? I'm sorry. Okay, so the disabled bracket or the blind bracket would most likely apply to your soon-to-be adult child. There's also different aspects if they're a disabled minor child or in the household of another. And these are essentially, the extent of the monthly benefits that a person can receive from SSI in 2021. But if you've ever had a run-in with Social Security, it can get complicated when other things start getting counted against those monthly benefits that they receive. And so it's not like just a simple, great, it's $859. It can be a lot more. And we really strive to educate the parents we work with on all the things they need to consider going forward. So Mr. Victor?
Thank you, Charlotte. And this is just another slide for resources additionally for parents or those transitional age youth. Um, One of those resources is the Blue Book for adult listings and the Blue Book for childhood listings as well. And these two resources will list the disability listings for Social Security that they use to determine whether somebody's qualified for SSI or not under their rules. So this is really helpful in that it gives you the exact type of disability and terminology that Social Security uses when determining a disability. That way, you can have a look at this before you go into the Social Security office, and you're even more well prepared as to, the disability will not be in question because you did your research, and the disability will be listed in either of these, the Blue Book for adult listings or childhood, depending on, which benefit you're applying for. And we just, encourage parents or you to, look at this resource before, just for that fact in itself, to be better prepared and thereby increase their chances of getting approved without any hiccups.
Thank you, Victor. And I wanted to piggyback really fast. While we were researching for our Spanish presentation that we'll be doing this in March, we discovered, I mean, it seems like an obvious thing, but if you go to the Social Security website, you'll find out that you can have the whole website and all of these things translated into Spanish, like they're already available as resources. So if you're listening tonight and you're a dual speaker, and you're like, man, I would really love to read some of this stuff in multiple languages. I think they have like 10 different languages available for their website. So that's a really cool accessible feature. So moving on, number 8, my child has SSI, and I heard Social Security will determine if they are still eligible for benefits as an adult. What is this called? This is called the age 18 redetermination. It's the official Social Security term for what happens if your kid already receives SSI and they're about to turn 18, and SSA is trying to determine if they are still eligible. So that's pretty much it. And like it says here, it happens, the redetermination happens within a year of the 18th birthday. Mr. Victor?
Thank you, Charlotte. And, in some cases, it might be that somebody is approved for SSI, but, depending on disability or the severity of the disability, Social Security will also take that into account, whether or not the youth is able to handle their finances on their own or not. And in cases where somebody's not able to handle their own finances, they may have what's called representative payees, which means the benefits are sent to the parent or the caretaker or whoever's the legal guardian of that youth. They're sent to them, but they're actually meant to go to the youth. And once the youth turns 18, if they can demonstrate that they're able to handle their finances on their own, then they can have, the benefits paid directly to them versus going to the representative payee. And when they turn 18, they can ask that this be done through the Social Security office as well.
Thank you, Victor. Number 10, what happens if my child gets denied SSI at age 18? So before I say anything, it's not the end of the road. There's actually a lot more options than are presented on this particular slide. It could take hours to go through all of them, and we don't know all of your individual situations. So that also helps, kind of understand the context of a denial, because crazy as it might sound, with Social Security, almost no two denials are alike, even if they have similar reasonings. So what happens is if your child doesn't meet the adult definition of disability, they will no longer be able to receive SSI. And so basically this is happening around that 18th birthday, and Social Security will keep sending your child their SSI benefit payments for 2 months, but then after those 2 months, the benefits will end. Now, for some people, this is a fine situation. Maybe they're just in a different financial situation, or for a number of different reasons, you know, they simply SSI is no longer needed as an option. For other people, they definitely still need SSI as an option for their student. And there are ways to appeal that decision, either through our organization or some of the other organizations present tonight, or just in general in Napa County, have different resources to help explore that. Mr. Victor.
Thank you, Charlotte. And it might be also the case that you go ahead and go into the Social Security office or talk to someone at Social Security and you apply, or the parent helped the child apply, or the child applied themselves, and now they're finally approved for benefits. You know, there's a lot of other things to consider. It's not just, oh, I got my benefits and everything's good. You know, things do change. And from what the time that I've been working here, I've seen actually most of the first applications for SSI be denied. So it's not the end of the world. They usually are denied. So there are more steps to take once somebody is approved, so that to get them their benefits, and also so that they don't end up, you know, in a precarious situation with maybe sometimes receiving overpayments or things like that. So there's many other things to take into consideration once somebody is approved for SSI as well.
Yes, I wish it could just be a simple stamp on a ticket and you're done, but it's not simplified like that yet, maybe in a century. So this is pretty much a summary of what DSLC does to help youth transition into adulthood. And so we work with, you know, different parents and their children, or sometimes I've worked specifically with young adults, and maybe they're navigating their benefits okay, but hit a snag with an overpayment issue, or they started working and didn't understand all of the rules that were involved if you have SSI and you work. So, you know, these are some of the different scenarios that we can assist with. And, you know, we also help with something we offer anyone that comes through our doors, whether they're a youth, adult, or senior, is peer support, benefits advocacy, housing advocacy, and other resources like the CARES grant, which is up to $3,000, a season of sharing, which is up to $5,000, and you know, it goes on and on. I'm not going to say everything on the slide. Go ahead. Go ahead, Victor.
Charmaine and Charlotte, on that one, our ultimate goal as an independent living center is to, you know, show that that person with disability does have potential and they can, you know, be independent. And our goal for them is for them to be as, you know, self-sufficient and thriving in a community, just as someone without any disability. And that's our ultimate goal, just to provide them the tools so that they can live as independently as possible in this community.
That's absolutely right, Victor. Just like our title says, Victor and I are both independent living advocates. So we always meet all of the people we work with halfway. We're not caseworkers or social workers or therapists. You know, we can lend an ear or shoulder when necessary, but really the idea is that, you know, our best success rate is when people don't have to come back to us, because they got the services they needed and were able to continue on. Not to say we don't have people come back. So the same can be said for families. You know, we want to help you get on your way. And, but we know not every case is simple, and some are very complex. And sometimes, you know, there is no easy answer. So it could take several agencies involved to assist. Here you go, Mr. Victor.
And then we also do, as my coworker mentioned, housing, financial assistance, and more. Just like I had mentioned before, the ultimate goal is to give the person, whether it's a youth or just a regular community member, we give them tools to empower them and help them develop the self-confidence to be able to thrive, in spite of whatever challenge or barrier they might be facing. In addition to that, no social security case or housing case or, benefits case is always the same. There's always a unique set of circumstances and factors that come into play in a person's particular situation. So that's when we encourage them to contact us and let us know, their issue, and we'll do whatever we can to help them. Our contact information is listed here.
Thank you, Victor. Yes, absolutely. So we'll post this in the chat too, in case anyone misses it and is trying to reach us. I'll post it. And essentially, that's everything, guys. We made it to the end. I'm going to stop sharing so that Ginny can take it, control the screen.
And just a quick reminder for me, this presentation will also be given in Spanish as well. So like was said in the beginning, we're going to capture all those audiences that may need to hear this in Spanish as well. I'm a fluent Spanish speaker, been here in the Napa community for my entire life. I was raised here, so know the community pretty well, and I'm able to, convey this information, so it could help our Spanish-speaking community as well.
Thanks, Victor. I don't know what else to conclude on. I just want to say very, very lastly, for the parents that are in the audience tonight, like I really appreciate you being here. It's a true honor to work with you, even if I'm only presenting to you. And even if this is the only interaction we had, I hope it was a positive one. And I can only imagine how, the challenges that you face on a daily basis as a parent. So I just wanted to say, I see you. Thanks.
Well, warm thanks again to Victor and Charlotte for an extremely informative set of slides. Now, don't be shy, people. We're here for you. I do want to introduce a few more people that came on. Let's see, we have Mary Allen, who is from St. Helena. We also, again, from our secondary transition community, and one of our administrators in St. Helena. We also have Nick Joy, who serves on the committee, is a particular expert in this area as well, also from St. Helena. We have Kim Craven, a school psychologist from Calistoga. And I hope I didn't miss anyone, but I say these names and people, raise your hand, make yourselves available there in chat or wherever, because these people are your conduits. We're your team. Everybody here tonight is here for our parents and to help our students, clients, and so forth get the maximum benefits and resources they can going into adulthood. All right, I'm going to start in some questions, and I invite other people to chime in with responses here. I'm certainly not going to be, have all of the answers. Let's see what we have here. Okay, is this geared more towards students with more severe disabilities or learning disabilities? And we did have a response from Kim Craven, and she offered that it is geared towards mod severe, but there are some caveats to all of this. And as Kim explains, if you were told in an IEP that your child would not be getting a high school diploma, but rather a certificate of completion, they may qualify. Again, the caveat here is that SSI makes this determination. Your district folks cannot make this determination for SSI. They can't tell SSI what to do. SSI makes it. Remember that deaf and blind students also qualify. There are low incidence, and a deaf or hard of hearing student can get SSI benefits, for college, for example. So don't be discouraged if you are afraid that your child may not qualify. There's those little blue books that go through the disabilities and explain each one and explain to the extent somebody might qualify. So that is an excellent resource. And again, you have any number of people who can help you kind of make not a predetermination, but at least do your homework ahead of time. Anybody else from Secondary Transition Committee like to join in on potentially who qualifies, who doesn't? Anything I missed there?
I guess I'm just going to clarify that when I try to say that a severe learning disability might be eligible, that sometimes learning disabilities can be paired with also like a severe language impairment. And when you have the two of those together, and if your student participated in what's called a special day classroom, they may be years behind academically and working at their own independent pace. And if they can't access classes in the regular high school curriculum, that it makes it more likely that when you apply, because they'll get that certificate of completion rather than a high school diploma. So in terms of eligibility and disability status, it would be more like specific learning disability and a language impairment and an SDC kind of a student.
Thank you, Kim. Anybody else have any pearls of wisdom to add from their professional wisdom or experience?
I just wanted to thank Charlotte and Victor for the presentation. I think when we're discussing benefits, it's such a vast, almost like a universe. There's so much information, there's so many considerations. But the fact that we're here, I think it is an important portion. I am from North Bay Regional Center, and I support employment initiatives, anything that's related to employment, and benefits tends to be one of the areas that our teams need to discuss as early as possible. When I hear benefits, there's the cash benefits that we got a chance to review today, the SSI, SSA. And some of the questions, I'm also detecting that there might be some curiosity about the Medi-Cal benefits. That's also a vast world in itself. There are a lot of, there are different resources that I could share. Maybe I can put some links for DV 101 that provides a more in-depth view of each benefit, the cash benefits, and also the Medi-Cal benefits that might give you a glimpse of some of the things that each federal and even state departments look at, the SSA, Social Security Administration, and Medi-Cal. Because there are ways, but I think it's determining more or less where you are, and also connecting with your local resources, like Victor and Charlotte's team. They are a great resource for this. We also have the Department of Rehabilitation to explore some of the benefits planning. But I think that the earlier that teams are having this discussion, the better, to figure out who to go to navigate this world that changes every year. My understanding is that SSA will roll out some updates to the rules, to some of the requirements. But I'll drop, if that's okay, Jeannie, if I could add, I can put some links for DV 101. I'll also include the CalAble program. It's another resource that helps with maintaining resources, cash resources, within a range that doesn't impact benefits. Those are two resources that I found here that are worked for other families, but they're not the only resources. There's a lot more, but I think that the sooner the families can get exposed, I think it helps to figure out how to navigate once the family member turns of age, when they turn 18 and they're open to a different set of rules for these kind of benefits. So thanks again. This is such a great discussion. This is one of the pillars, right, for employment. That's area that I tend to focus on, but it's also the person's life. What do they choose to do, and what areas need that support? So it's a great opportunity.
Thank you, Yvonne. Yes, please, everybody, put resources in the chat, and a reminder that we will be copying the chat for everybody, just in case we miss something, and so that we can connect folks. There's going to be a recording that's going to be available, and the PowerPoint's going to be available to you. So like I said, today's probably a taste of a lot of things, and you're going to want to sort of scroll back and dig into what is most important to you. So we respect that and want to make that all available to you. Okay, here's another one. The child has never applied for SSI because a parent earned too much to qualify. The youth will continue to live at home. Should they still apply for SSI to establish the disability with SSA for the future? Okay, this is my response, but I'll encourage my colleagues to jump in. Yes, definitely. When your child turns 18, as we showed in the PowerPoint, there's a redetermination. Now, when your child turns 18, let's say, you have some money in their name or something. They're 18 now. It's time now to not have funds and so forth in their name, because this is where the glitch is for you. If you have your child's name on your accounts, well, your child's not going to qualify because that will be part of the determining factor. So at this point, when your child turns 18, is an important point that the child should not have your things in their name. They're an adult now. Don't do that because they won't qualify. So in the case that is shared in the chat about my child didn't qualify as a child because I made too much, but no, situation changes now. Your child probably will qualify. I'm not SSI, but if it's based on no longer on your income, it's the child's income. So do apply. Do definitely apply. All right, colleagues, what did I miss, and what else would you like to chime in on that?
No, Victor, I'm first. No, Charlotte here. We're a little competitive over there. So the really interesting thing is actually earlier today, as we were meeting with a colleague who is our benefits expert, and she was saying how when someone turns 18, if they're not being conserved, then they can tell, let's say they apply and while they're applying and they turn 18 and they still live at parents' home, they can create an agreement, a loan agreement with the parent saying, I will pay my rent, my portion of rent when I start receiving my Social Security benefit. And that means that Social Security won't come back later and say, well, your parents were paying for all of your share of things, so we're going to take money away from you. I'm not going to go into why they do that, but essentially there's a how to kind of, I don't want to say go around it because it's legal, it's an option. Parents, as soon as they turn 18, have an agreement, sign it. I live here, I'll pay for my rent. When I can't afford to, I can't right now. When I start getting my Social Security payments, I'll start paying my portion of rent. And then all the other details about, how much that is another chapter, but it's possible. And there's ways to do Social Security without getting dinged by them. So sorry, Victor, you go ahead.
So as was said before, when somebody turns 18, Social Security now looks at them as an adult. So it's not the parent or the caretaker's resources that's taken into account when they apply. It'll be, the adult themselves. They're now 18, so that will be the only things that will come into play when they apply. But it's definitely important that they apply as well, just to establish a disability, and that way they have that part of the application process ready to go. Now it'll just be a matter of, providing other financial documents, financial evidence to ensure that they're able to receive that benefit. And then also for them to be eligible, they have to be, certain below a certain threshold. And that way it'll be easier for them to prove that without having the parents' accounts or the caretaker's accounts or anything influencing that, since now they're looked at independently by Social Security. So it's definitely important to prepare for that step as well.
Excellent. Other colleagues on that? Thanks. As you can tell, it's almost difficult to give responses because there's so many different avenues. And that's why tonight's important. This is your support network. Your school district folks, the agencies that are on here are your team. And we're all here to get the information to you that's relevant and important. And even though Charlotte and Victor have advocates after their names, so do your school district people. They're your cheerleaders, and so are all these agencies. We want to help. We're here to serve. So please reach out. You're doing a good job by being on here tonight. All right. There's no other comments on that one. I am going on to the next one. And this is going to, once again, colleagues, you're going to be jumping in on this one. What resources would you suggest for the young adults who are over 18 and have never applied for SSI other than going to the Social Security website? I think, okay, we're over 18, so this is probably, well, school district might still be involved. You know what, I'm gonna send that straight over to Victor and Charlotte, because there's so many resources are going through my head right now. I want them to start.
Sure, thanks, Ginny. I'm actually starting to put some links in my chat box. I was just trying to get it formatted right. I like Yvonne referenced earlier the CADB 101. They're our favorite. I personally also love Disability Rights California. I would go to their website almost every other day because it's very user friendly and easier for me to comprehend all this complicated benefits information. So those are the two that first come to my mind. I know our website itself, I think it's like myDSLC.org. It has a lot of resources, but I try to send people to like the exact, where organization to go to as opposed to a list of them, because it can get very overwhelming unless I'm talking to peers about it and it's just like a list of resources. So I would definitely also make sure that if they have like a specific disability that they're trying to learn about and how might people with those disabilities get Social Security. I find that kind of getting those kind of disability specific resources are very helpful for Social Security, because it might just like, I was recently helping a consumer with autism, and I threw a lot of resources at his parent, but it was mainly because like just to show there's a lot out there, a lot of different ways for people in the community to connect with each other, parents to connect with each other, and might give different perspectives on things. So that's a long answer. Victor, give a shorter answer.
And I was just also going to recommend Yvonne's website, Disability Benefits 101. It's just like a main go-to resource for us for, people who have no idea and have never, had anything to do with Social Security. It'll give you, live examples, a lot of scenarios that you can plug numbers into. For example, somebody's probably planning to receive benefits and going back to work. How will that affect them? And just also, in addition to that, just networking, with different community members and agencies such as ours. Just word of mouth is a good, resource as well as to, where can people go to find this information. I've had a lot of clients who were referred to me that way as well.
Anybody else on this question right here is really, thank you. Looks like Kara asked it. Really a good one. I would like to say that don't get hung up, although we're speaking a lot in terms of age right now, of 18 and the redetermination age and so on and so forth. Don't get hung up on that age. That really isn't a determinant to get SSI benefits, okay? That's just, how we're trying to present this change. So don't let that discourage you if there's somebody over 18. Certainly apply. Other comments?
And I just want to say that, people who are over 18, they can still, work and do, jobs or vocational goals just like their peers. It's just a matter of knowing the rules and knowing how to navigate that, so it doesn't, preclude them with Social Security moving forward. So just a matter, like I said, of being informed, knowing the rules. But there's definitely, ways that, young people can work and still receive benefits, definitely.
I'm not seeing too much more in the chat, but if I've missed something somewhere, please, unmute yourself and jump in. If you've got a burning hot topic, please don't hesitate to jump in. At this point, we have a couple of minutes, and I would encourage one of our school district people to sort of explain from a school district perspective how you handle this through the IEP process. How does this handover happen with you? I think that's an important aspect as well. It's one of the guiding ends of all of this. So someone from the school district willing to jump in?
I can chat a little bit, but just to normalize things for the parents who are here, and I really want to thank Victor and Charlotte for their presentation today. So I've been a special education administrator for, longer than I probably realized. And SSI is still a mystery to me, and how you actually qualify. And it's a layered process. And so when I'm going through something like that, now that I know I have Victor and Charlotte to partner with, that's where I would start, probably before I'd be going to a website, because you almost need an interpreter, an SSI interpreter, and someone who's been there and walked families through it in the past. And to be honest, Ginny, in terms of like actually navigating the world of that narrow a qualification of SSI, I can't say it's something that we often cover directly within transition planning, but our transition planning for a student with disabilities, as you know, on or before a student's 16th birthday, we're supposed to be looking at areas of education and employment and job training. And so we start working with families and with students on building a path and a bridge towards their post-high school years. And for some students, you can remain in special education, as many families know, up until you receive your high school diploma or until the age of 22. And so we also have post-secondary programs that can support families. And so a lot of the agencies that you see here are agency partners, North Bay Regional Center. We work a lot with the Department of Rehabilitation and transitioning someone to their life after school. But if you're a parent of a school-age child, that language and that plan should be part of things around a student's sophomore year of high school is when the language really should start ramping up.
And to add to that, Charlotte and Victor are actually going to be providing a training very similar to this to our secondary special education case managers. So they can become a little more familiar with the process and the language. I want them to be able to know, to tell families to go to the both of them to get these questions answered. So, we're building awareness and knowledge on that. And then the other thing I wanted to add to what Mike was saying is the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, DOR, in the area of employment is a very powerful agency for your child or young adult from 16 all the way through their life. And we do have a vocational services team at the district called SVS that partners with DOR and makes those connections with the student and the family, sometimes in high school, sometimes in the post-secondary program, or at the latter end of that. So employment and the trajectory of that child is always in our mind. It's always what we're thinking about and talking about and curious about, because in the lifetime of our students, school is this, life is this. Am I making, is that clear on Zoom? School is this. It's a much, much longer road. And so these agencies that are they're referring to tonight are very important and influential in the successes after NBUSD.
And I know our agency partners in Up Valley, so Stephanie and I are speaking from a Napa Valley Unified lens, but organizations like the Department of Rehabilitation, they just don't service Napa Valley Unified students. They're here and a resource for students all throughout Napa County.
I just want to add to that, being fairly new to Napa Valley, I'm pretty grateful for the resource available in Parents Can as a partnership, that they actually give me referral forms that I can check off SSI, support, connections with North Bay Regional Center, like a prescription pad. So they're really motivated to help parents and get you connected to these resources. So if you do not know about Parents Can, please ask your case provider for your student to give you a referral. Thanks.
And a very quick sidebar, we're actually right across the street from Parents Can, and we were planning on having a great coffee date before COVID started, so we'll have to wait until after, but anyway.
Thanks. And once again, Mike Coughlin and Stephanie Solberger from Napa Valley Unified School District, and our most recent speaker, Kim Craven, is from Calistoga. So we have people from all over the county to support you, connect you, both within our agencies and of course our school districts. There was another question in the chat about, funds in my child's name. This is going to be a problem because it's in your child's name. That's your child's income, or that's money they have. Again, if you want your child to qualify for SSI, I say 3 to 6 months before they turn 18, you need to start rethinking that child becoming an adult, and qualifying for SSI means that they don't have funds. So anyway, I hope that clarifies that.
Can I add something really fast to that?
Of course, please.
So there's always like more than one answer to this, because it can be very complicated. Like, what type of fund is it? I'm not asking you to tell me right now, but what type of fund is it? Is it tied to something specific? I went to this disabilitysecrets.com. They can sometimes be good. And they're saying if it's given as a gift, then it wouldn't be counted against the student, if the money was given to the student as a gift. But then my concern is, what about Social Security saying, why is there this lump sum of, I don't know how much you saved up? So you're like, there might be a quick answer on Google, but it might not be so quick. And someone had already referenced CalAble earlier. And I almost feel like that is a question for them, because they definitely handle a lot more of the financial aspect to it. And they're trained for questions like that. They answer their phone, and they could walk you through if there's some way to connect your college savings account for the student to a CalAble savings account, if maybe your student doesn't want to go to college, but also doesn't want that high amount of money to count against them as a resource, because you're only allowed to have $2,000 in your bank account if you're receiving SSI, period. So, and believe me, I've met people who tried to work around that. There is no working around it. I wish there was, but anyway.
And connected to that, let's say you sort of missed that memo on that, and there is some money in your child has some babies, whatever, there is some funding there, and you're denied. You can later appeal once those funds are gone, and reapply. And I've seen that work as well. So I think Charlotte said earlier, it's never the end of the road, and everybody here is your advocate. So, there's so many different answers to these questions, and depending on the circumstances, it's sort of maybe hard to land exactly where you need us to be, but please, continue the conversation with us. I don't see, unless I've missed questions, I don't see too much left here in the chat. Anybody else from our committee or presenters feel like there's something, kind of a hot topic that you wanted to make sure you communicated before we brought closure to our evening together?
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm from St. Helena Unified. I just wanted to thank Victor and Charlotte, but also just the wonderful partnership up Valley with the Napa Valley Unified. And I think one big thing, and I'm scrolling through chat, someone mentioned was how important it is, and we've mentioned it before, is how important it is to start the discussion and conversation early, especially in middle school, and just get the conversation going. So that way it's not a new term. And just like Mike said too, is during those individual transition plans, the terminology, all of these different acronyms, everyone is used to. So it's all about just getting to know what's out there. And if you do have questions, definitely Victor and Charlotte, just thank you for, everything that we can go to.
And please know that Mr. Nick Joy is an expert himself. I believe he's working on a doctorate in this very area. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
So, not to embarrass anybody, but like I said, our Napa Valley folks, our Calistoga, St. Helena, there is an immense amount of expertise in your school district, and we're all interconnected. So, even if the acronyms throw you off, maybe that's the work of the committee next. It's just like, what are all these acronyms, right? I begin spewing them myself and don't even realize I'm using so many of them, but that's sort of how we work in education. So let us know too, as a committee, what we can do for you. We're here for you, and we're really excited to do this work together. It's a wonderful county to be and live and work in. And any other messages out there? Any last minute questions? Any other from our committee? Any other pearls of wisdom out there?
I just want to throw one more out there. I was thinking about kind of like all these different aspects of SSI that we've been talking about, and leading up to 18 and after 18 and all of the things. I think the one thing I've learned about Social Security, although the administration itself can be very daunting, it is somewhat like, it requires a lot of patience. So if you go into it with that mindset, then of course, like, have a strong sense of self-advocacy, but patience, because we've been hearing about people getting letters from Social Security that are saying one thing and the next day another thing. And I wish I was like, I wish there was a way just to make it easier. But I think that right now, like, just kind of like everyone's talking about, gear up on information and knowledge. And I know we've kind of referenced back to it a few times, but just if you go over the $2,000 income, I didn't mean it's over, like it's over. I meant like you will get overpayment charge, or the student will, but you can, not supposed to use the word bite, but you can appeal that. And there's always like other avenues to go down. So, and I'll try not to use so many acronyms next time. Sorry about that. I'm still laughing. But
if I could just add to that, it's never the end of the road. I've had a lot of clients that, I've spoken to, and, pre-COVID, they would come to my office and be like, oh, I was denied. It's not the end of the world. There's always avenues that we can take to figure out what's the best course of action for someone to be able to receive those benefits that they so need, because they're applying, precisely because they're in need of the benefit. So there's always ways to go about it. We just need to figure out what's the proper way for that person to obtain those benefits based on their set of circumstances and facts when it comes to applying for these programs. So it's never the end of the world. There's always options, and that's what we're here for.
All right, well, I think we've come to the end of our evening and our time. I'm Ginny Maywald, and I've enjoyed being your moderator today. We look forward to continuing to serve you. So those of you that are parents out there, please give us topics that you want more information on. This is your secondary transition committee, and we want to get our hands and hearts around what's needed out there. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us and let us know what's most relevant, what's most needed out there in the field. But with that, I would like to extend an extra special thank you to Victor and Charlotte and their preparation and their work. I'd like to also thank our secondary transition committee. We'll be convening next week to do more work. And most of all, those of you that are parents out there, you're the most important people in the room to us. It's you we serve. It's you that we want to know we're hearts up and palms up for, and that to please don't hesitate to reach out. We're all here to serve. So again, a very warm thank you to everybody for this evening. We'll get the PowerPoint, we'll get the recording, we'll get the chat copied for you, and we hope that you found a few nuggets tonight that will support you moving forward. So anyway, warm blessings to everybody, and take care.
Jenny, I'll send you the PowerPoint in PDF form. Does that work for you?